Mineral value chain consultant Professor Ben Turok warned on Monday that current economic stagnation in South Africa's real economy cannot be brought to an end without an end also being put to the trust deficit between government and business and a new era of cooperation emerging.
We must accept that South Africa is a mixed economy and we must make the most of it. All those people who talk about state taking over this, that and the other, it's a pipe dream. Our private sector is large, it is huge, it is important, it does things that the state can't do. And on the other hand, the state does things that the private sector will not do. And where large investment is required, there are two entities in this country, and if they don't work together, we can talk about developmental states, we can talk about all sorts of language, but if those two entities don't find each other and don't find a way that the one facilitates the other in a proper relationship, then I'm afraid South Africa is not going to get out of its current doldrums. Big business is dependent on the state for procurement and for legislation and for regulation. Our big business, big as it is, even the foreign multinational corporations are very dependent on the state. And of course, the state is very dependent on private sector. Somehow, we are in the doldrums in policy. Parliament is not able to create an environment where these two large sectors can work together. Our legislation is sometimes aggressive, hostile. I think the DMR amendment bill is a mistake. And very certain other legislation is a mistake because it creates an environment in which the private sector feels estranged and feels hostile. The time has come for us to say this is a mixed economy in which the state and the private sector has to find ways and means of working together, each one from their positions of strength, of mutual respect and understanding. You do this, we do that, and we meet in the middle. And if we don't do that, frankly, the stagnation which is now in mining, in manufacturing, in agriculture, those three major sectors of the real economy are all stagnant. South Africa's growth at the moment is zero. And when you say 1.3% annual growth, you take away from that the population growth, which is 1.5, so you have zero growth. Our growth is zero. The rest of Africa is 5%. This is a crisis. And if you guys don't face up to that and think of the solutions in terms of repairing the system of our economy, I think we're in trouble. We are way down the scale.
I look at the JSE on a daily basis and I see the rallies. It's quite the opposite to what's happening to the domestic economy.
We must distinguish between the JSE and the real economy because the whole world is now awash with liquidity. It's international. The quantitative easing has done a lot, created liquid capital which is floating around the world, chasing emerging markets and so on. And similarly in South Africa, the JSE, the stocks are a safe haven. What we need to look at is the real economy. And I insist that serious people don't worry about the JSE. You look at the real economy, mining, manufacturing, agriculture. When you see growth there and you see things happening in employment generation, I didn't deal with employment. You all know what the employment situation is. It is dreadful. So forget about the financial sector because there's an artificial aspect to the financial sector worldwide.
That was Professor Ben Turok, the former ANC MP, who is now the lead consultant on mineral value chains in South Africa for the United Nations Commission for Africa. He was speaking at an economic policy dialogue on mineral beneficiation, which was hosted by South Africa's Department of Trade and Industry.